Okay, so we're going to do a brief Q&A now for about 15 minutes if anyone's got questions. We have a microphone here. Linda, can you grab that microphone? If you'd just like to raise your hand, Linda will bring the microphone around and just direct the question to whomever on the panel you'd like to do that, and go away. Who's got the first question? Oh, there we go.
Okay, I have two questions. The first will be to Mr. Khan. The question is that you list programs for all types of businesses and especially for startups. My question is, for those in larger corporations, what is the format of your programs apart from the training? Do you have monthly meetings, networking events, things like that?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. The format which we have is that once you become a certified individual with our organization, you can lead innovation activities in your organization. And that is like maybe starting a chapter, you can say. And we give you the tools to make that initiative successful. So for example, if there are innovation points earned for every such activity, and if someone is arranging an event, if someone is having a speaker series, if someone is doing a networking session, all of those are basically gives innovation points earned to that individual. And that is inside an organization, and it could be also locally based, where you are doing it for a community or where you're doing it for a city. That is one area. And the other area where we definitely can help is we can link you to external players who can collaborate with you to meet your internal requirements, help with ideation, and other such activities.
Thank you very much. The next question is for Ms. ELFREDA. You spoke about how you use innovation in RBC and how you use it for customer value and a whole lot of things. And it looked like it was internal until you went further and you said, oh, well, we network with vendors, we work with universities. Now, my question really is, how do you work with vendors and universities and research organizations, which you spoke about? Is it that they register with you, and what kind of programs and resources do you have for them? That's my question.
Okay. So with regard to vendors, so we have some key vendors like Dell and Cisco who are vendor suppliers of note within RBC, and then we have really good relationships with them where we're fortunate to kind of get the stuff first. So because they know we have a lab, and it's advantageous for us because we like to have the next best thing, or the next greatest thing rather, but it also allows them to market and socialize some of their new technology, because we can get it in front of hundreds of people in a very quick way and very cost efficient and low resource way, because we'll be doing all the legwork.
Any other questions? Oh, here we go.
Hi, question for Wendy. So I've been to the Digital Media Zone on a couple of occasions and really think it's a fantastic program. There are some others that I've seen. The Creative Destruction Lab at Rotman. Also individual programs, classes that are being taught. Dr. Joe Parody's CMTE program at the University of Toronto, the MBET program at Waterloo. What others do I need to get my eyeballs in front of? Where else should I be going to see this type of thing in action?
So, good question. I would say currently, you'd be hard-pressed to find a university that doesn't have an incubator and doesn't have entrepreneurial programs if they have a business school now. So there's lots of really interesting work going on, lots of different places. You know, Brock has, what's it called, BioLink, which is focused on biomedical. Simon Fraser, UBC, University of Ottawa has a makerspace now. It's pretty well any university you can name, and many of the colleges as well. So it's coming back to, you know, one of my pet issues is sector specific. So if you're interested in digital technology, Communitech in Waterloo is probably one of the most advanced in terms of incubators that have been around for a long time. It doesn't mean that it's the only one, but I would say that that's one that you wouldn't miss. And what's interesting about Communitech is, like Ryerson, and I don't know about some of the others, increasingly large companies are recognizing that it's hard, unless you're IBC, it's hard to drive innovation internally, you know, because big organizations are hard to change. Some of them set up skunk works, which can kind of, you know, do stuff independent of the behemoth they're part of. But increasingly, we're seeing large organizations come to us, and they've gone to Communitech to say, hey, we want to send some of our people to live in your incubator so that they live and breathe innovation on a daily basis. And that's becoming a really interesting model, I think, for affecting change. But yeah, there are incubators right across the country. And there's an organization, actually, if you're interested, I can send you the link. There's an organization of incubators. I forget what the acronym is.
Thank you very much, Wendy.
Any other questions? Okay, no. Oh, there is? Oh, over here.
This question is for Wendy. I'm curious to know, with the landscape of the university experience today, I feel that there's a shift happening, or a transformation. And I want to know, is there anything that Ryerson is doing right now or thinking about to innovate the way the university experience is today and where it's going tomorrow? And if so, what are those items?
So thanks for the question. I think what my president would say if he's here is our model of zone education is comparably transformational to, say, Waterloo's co-op. So, you know, with Waterloo, they introduced co-ops, so a student would go and work for terms at other institutions. And the idea with zone learning is a student can get academic credit for starting their own business. So that's a significant innovation. One of the things, are there any arts, social science graduates in the room? History majors, philosophers, reformed sociologists? Okay. One of my pet peeves, and trust me, I do love engineers and computer scientists. It's just I worked with them for so long that I'm exacting my revenge. One of the things that I think is really important is to provide those opportunities I mentioned to students in other disciplines. So it's kind of de rigueur at most universities that, you know, the management students and the computer science students and the engineering students have opportunities to get involved with entrepreneurship and courses and so on. What I'm really interested in, and what I think Ryerson is doing in innovative ways, is driving social innovation through the arts and social sciences. We're Canada's first changemaker campus, which means, you know, you can be an English major, and if you want to change the world, we'll help you do it. And because I do think that entrepreneurial mindsets and processes are not rocket science, I do think we need to open them up, and we've designed some unique programs to address those issues, as well as the particular needs of women, of immigrants, and so forth.
One of the questions I have, and maybe we can just end the question period on this, I'd like to ask each panelist if they could just maybe give us a quick overview of how we can solve that. What is how can we bring Canada back to, you know, to get competitive in the world of innovation? AJ, you want to start that?
Yeah, as I said, there's a lot of things happening here, but people don't know about it outside North America. So one of the things which is most important is we have to promote Canada and the Canadian startups and other innovation which is happening here across the world. And that would, I think, do a lot to change the perception of Canada as an innovation economy.
That's a great question because a couple of weeks ago when I was in Silicon Valley, I was there because RBC supports an event that brought 13 women who were Canadian entrepreneurs down into the valley to connect them with other Canadians who are there as successful founders and CEOs, and kind of ran them through like a 3-day boot camp where they learned how to do valuation of a company and how to negotiate and how to be more assertive. And it was great hearing the other successful Canadians who are already there. And a question was asked to them, what is the difference between the US investor and the Canadian investor? And I won't repeat what was said because it was a little too colorful, but you know, Canadian investors are just far too conservative. And I think that mindset just really needs to shift where we need to be more risk takers, and we need to have people who have a significant amount of money who want to invest in risk. And also think long term, because the other problem that they said with the Canadian investors is that they think too short term. American investors are quite bold, and they don't mind waiting to see the results of the startup, because realistically, it can take several years before you get traction and really get going. And the bulk of Canadian investors do not have the patience for that time horizon. So that mindset really needs to change.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I just reinforce that. I don't think, though, it's just investors. I think it's Canadians in general, and I think that we have to reward risk takers and celebrate failure and recognize that failure is part of success, and the earlier you start, the better. So I do think that I'm not being parochial. I think the education system plays a huge role in encouraging confident young people to take chances and create their own destinies, and entrepreneurship's a really good way to do that.
Great, thank you very much. Well, again, a hand for the panel for today.